Stuck in a truck. As always, we always like to start off with a little bit of gratitude. So I just want to say thank you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing, and pushing out to your friends and family how awesome the show is going. Today we have a guest as well. He's a repeat guest, so this is really cool for me. So I'm going to let him take it away and start talking a little bit about where he's going for you today. Go for it.
Hey, Michael, how you doing today? Thanks so much for having me on again. I love the first time, and this will be even better this time. Always make it better the second time, right?
That's it. That's it.
I love it, man. Well, yeah, Richard Walsh. I am from Escape the Owner Prison, best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison, The Contractor's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast-Track Growth While Loving Life. So it's all about unlocking yourself from your business, right? The trappings of the day-to-day. All that stuff. So my whole goal is to help. My main mission is to help 10,000 business owners escape the owner prisoner, right? Show people how to get rid of those self-imposed shackles. You know, stop being the do everything yourself entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. Now we talked sometimes that not only the owners, but it's also managers, bosses, employers, things like that. So it's not just entrepreneurs that you're helping. You're also looking anybody that's looking to be in a leadership role that's trying to get out of that monotony prison. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. It's important to understand the mindset of that. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So that's a big thing. Now, you had put in the message to me when you reserved this one again. It's talking about getting out of their own way. Is that right?
Yes.
So give me a couple of ideas that you think about where owners, managers, business people are getting in their way. Give me a couple of examples that would really hit home with the listeners. That's like, like they can literally select in the next 10, 15 minutes and go, yeah, I'm doing that. What do you think those top two are?
Well, the first one is it's a trust issue, right? You have to trust others. You have to trust others when you delegate. You have to trust others. The biggest thing is that everyone thinks, they can do it the best. And if they don't do it, it doesn't get done right. Right? You hear the old saying, you got to get it done. You want it done right, you got to do it yourself. Well, that's not true. Okay, you have to get over that. That's the biggest thing. It's really empowering your delegates, if you will, to get things done. That's a big thing. Another thing is understanding, who you're hiring and why you're hiring them.
Okay,
that's a biggie, because a lot of people are, filling vacancies to fill the vacancy, and that's a huge mistake. So you want to make sure that you're understanding the talent that you're bringing into your organization. That's going to help it grow. If you don't do that, you're always going to struggle. If you don't build that level of leadership that understands that chain of command and how you're able to empower these others and get people who are high performers on your team, no matter what the level is of the job description, they should be a top performer, and that should be your ultimate goal.
So you're saying the first biggest mistake a lot of managers, employers, entrepreneurs are doing is that they're failing to trust the employment that they brought on to let them help carry the way. Now, I got to throw an argument to you, because I truly believe that every human being is selfish, right? So, let me hear me out on this one. So the people that do a lot for others, there's a lot of people I know, including myself, where we love to give, we love to, help others succeed, but it's still selfish because you're doing these things to make yourself feel good, right? I feel good helping others, so you do these stuff. Then you have people that are literally selfish, and they literally brag about how they're, they love how everything comes to them. So you're looking at it as going, you have the style of people of saying, like, what's the word I'm looking for here, is you have the givers and you have the takers, right? That's a normal phrase that I've heard my entire life. And then when you look at entrepreneurs, as you said, they have the mindset of, I got to do it myself in order to get it done and get it done right. When you're saying is that they have to delegate it out and trust the employees. So I guess the hard part is when you're very, you're stuck in that bubble, right? You only trust yourself. You're scared to let others do it. You're scared to let go of those things. How do you get to the point of trusting that other person to get to that level? Is it a blind trust that you're suggesting, or is it something that they can test the theories to give them, or is it finding the right employee that is engaged and has the same wants as you, going back into their selfish personality?
Okay, well, yeah, it's a combination of a few of those things. First thing, like in your business, when you're bringing on that talent, those people, do you have a training system, right? Are they coming into something? Are they just coming in and say, "Hey, you're a great performer. Take care of things." That doesn't work, right? If you're not going to assist them and show them the systems and the process to do their job the best that they can do, right there you're losing. Okay, you can't trust them because they don't know, and it's not their fault. They're going to do whatever they think is right. Right. You have to give them the boundaries. You got to let them understand the true expectations of the job. That's one of the key ones. The other one is you do have to understand, well, first their experience, understand their character, which is a biggie. Are these people who are going to be able to do the job that's necessary, right? You need to understand what's the great thing. Characters revealed in the stressful times, right? Skills, they can be trained, skills degrade during stressful times. But if you're in a growing situation in your business, there's a lot of stress, right? There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of everything that's put on top of that. And so how are these people going to deal with that? But again,
Yeah.
the number one, go back to the training. How are you equipping these new people? And it doesn't matter if they have 20 years experience in the role. How do you do it? And if you haven't built a system to train them the way you want, you can't have high expectations of that person. They're going to go on their own path. So I think that's a biggie.
So looking at that as an entrepreneur, right? So most entrepreneurs are sole proprietors, they're LLCs, 1 to 2 people employment. They're their marketing, sales, employers, laborers, they do it all, right? So you're looking at that employment, the entrepreneur, which is a lot of people. I mean, in America, a lot of entrepreneurs are just self-employed people. They're not huge corporations. They're very little systems. So asking somebody like that to, let's say, train or bringing somebody in, right? They don't even know how they're doing 90% of their stuff, right? They're just doing it because they know they can make any decision. It always ends on them, right? So what would be your first step? Because I know for me, bringing in the right people have always been, I've been very blessed and lucky getting really good people to come join the Blue Line Canine team myself, and allowing the growth. And we've done a very good organic growth and holding back to match that growth. Does that make sense? But how would you suggest to that young entrepreneur? They have one, they're doing it all themselves. How do you bring 1 or 2 people on and train them? I mean, they barely know what they're doing that got them where they are to get to that point.
Right. So that's what they had. Here's the hard work of entrepreneurship or solopreneurship is you're going to change from solopreneur to entrepreneur.
Okay.
All right. You have to put in the effort. Well, what is the role I'm bringing in? Here's what I need to help with. Great. Okay. X, X, Y, and Z has to be done. Cool. So now this is work in before you even interview someone. What does that actually entail? So you have to do the hard work of documenting this. Right? Creating a path, creating a system so people have something to follow. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can adjust as you get going, but you can't just throw someone in the mix. So you got to do that work first, then begin your interview process. I was helping a woman in her business, solopreneur looking to exchange. I said, just start the interview process. You don't have to hire anybody.
Yeah.
Just get used to interviewing. Maybe you'll find some, maybe you won't, but don't be committed like I have to get someone tomorrow because I'm dying without the help when you don't have systems and everything else in place. So you start one piece at a time. You don't try to, revamp the entire company. Look at that position specifically, design the boundaries, the expectations, what they have to do, the responsibilities, and then start to get that one person in. And from there, you'll start to duplicate that again, right? If you have a different role or a second or third person, you can then expand that same principle.
Right. So now you look at most solar entrepreneurs that you're looking at, right? So you said solopreneurs, what do you call them, right? Looking at that, what do you think is the first thing they should be looking for as growth? Would it be their marketing team? Would it be their sales team? Should it be laborers? Where do you think most young entrepreneurs getting started, where do you see them taking the next step? Is it getting out of the office, or is it getting off their labor job or their role?
I think what it is you've got to, I'd start with I love virtual assistants, right? Because they're a lower cost alternative. It's a great way to ease into that expansion mode.
So let's say somebody has no idea what that is. Can you give them a quick brief analysis?
So a virtual assistant is someone remotely, and that could be in this country, could be in the Philippines, could be anywhere, right? And they do things like bookkeeping. They do office management, a lot of other tasks they can do. They can do marketing. They can do all kinds of things. But you pick what you need, get this, and then start letting them help you, right? Assign these tasks. Maybe I used one for incoming leads. They capture the lead, it'd come in, they'd contact them, they set appointments and everything else. So I go out and make the sale and everything else. So that takes those burdens off. You've got to get the head work. The little mind, like, got to be in there on the computer, trapped in the office on the laptop. You have to relieve yourself of that. You can't expand if that's your focus, because that's must do stuff, right?
Okay.
Must do stuff can really get in the way. They can burn up hours because you're not an expert at all the must do stuff. So you want to start to outsource that. That's what I think is very effective. And it may come to an in-house time at one point as you grow and you need people in-house. That's great. But don't not get into the thought process of having that virtual assistant. That other person is going to help you on an administrative level. I think that's key number one.
So it sounds like you're saying getting the small time-consuming things. So that's a big thing for me. I'm huge about time. Hence why we even have Stuck in the Truck, where I'm doing a podcast on my commute to work, right? So I fully take advantage of all the time I have, because there's one thing we can't repeat, we can never get it back, is time, right? So getting a virtual assistant, you have them calling your lead or getting your initial lead, right? So I'm assuming your funnel is created, you get your lead, they're making the initial contact and seeing if they fall into the cold, warm, or hot lead scenario. Is that right?
Exactly.
So that's a really easy way to maximize your time as an entrepreneur, is to get somebody that at least, I forgot what's the word I'm looking for here. It's they screen. That's the word.
Yeah.
So that way you're not wasting your time talking to people that are asking silly questions.
Right.
How much duct work does it take to do an entire house for HVAC? Right. Well, come on, that's not your moneymaker, right? If you're an HVAC guy or things like that. If you do free estimates, maybe finding a person that you can teach, right, to do the estimates for you. That way you go from there, unless that's your sales opportunity, right? So that's if you make or break. These are big things that you can look at, right? So looking at those kinds of things. And then the next thing you said is the training, where a lot of people fail in the training of their new employees. So here's I'm going to actually, I want to venture out into that one. When you talk into training, are you talking about the training of how you want them to be? Is it the training on expectations, or is it the training on the trade itself?
You want training on the trade itself. Okay. Again, if it's an office position, if it's a crew foreman, if it's a salesperson, a sales division, that's the training. What does the job actually entail? What are you expecting them to do each day? Right? Are you an hour in the office? The rest of the time you're on the outside sales? Are you on the phone the whole time? Are you looking to build a sales team? What are you bringing them in for? And then what does that look like? What does that actually look like? What are your expectations? How this should be performed? Again, here's the key. Don't let perfection stop you. Don't think you have to have the perfect, every detail laid out. Get a framework, put it in place, adjust as you go, because it just has to evolve that way. No business, as I always say, no battle plan survives the first shot. Right? It's great to have a plan, but you just gotta understand you're going to adapt. That's what we do every day in our business. So you need to just get that basic framework in, so people have an understanding of what they expect. Because if they don't, they're looking at you as a hot mess. If you don't give them any kind of direction, you're like, well, come on, let's go build the sales team. Well, what does that look like? What are we building for, 100,000 or 100 million? What do we do?
But let me throw this at you real quick. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they're scared to bring people in and train them in their trade. And I remember going through it myself, where you're like, well, if I give them all the stuff that made me who I am, they're essentially going to quit and replicate, right? So if I bring in somebody and I pay them to learn everything I know, right? I pay them to replicate me. I pay them to train underneath me. I pay them to do these things. What's stopping them from then quitting, right, and reopening your new competitor?
Nothing's stopping them.
Nothing.
And it shouldn't matter.
Shouldn't matter.
It should matter, because here's the thing. If again you're still holding on. If you train someone so well and they're so good that they can go out and start a business on their own, you are awesome. Okay. And that guy's never going to forget you. It's not spite. If someone's an entrepreneur, they're going to be an entrepreneur, right? They see an advantage. But there's a lot of people who do not want that life. They don't want to run a business, but if they can get trained, they can be great. They can make a great income. They can get appreciation. They love what they do. They stay. Everyone's not an entrepreneur. We're a very small percentage of people. A guest I had once on my podcast had a great thing. You know what he did with people who did that? He literally put their pictures on the wall. He put their story. He worked here for 5 years, went on. Now he runs this company, does this, and he made this wall of fame. Coolest thing ever. I'm like, he's like, so when new employees come in, they're like, wow, this is the place, because not everyone stays everywhere, right? People change, they outgrow their position. If they don't have upward mobility in your company for whatever reason, they need to move on, and you should encourage that, right? Because you did it probably.
You got to look at it is small businesses will always be afraid of the next competitor, right? Because that makes sales harder. It makes things difficult. So when you give them a trade, right, I can see where a lot of entrepreneurs are coming from. I remember going through it myself, where you're like, man, if I teach them how to do all this stuff, they can open up a small business next to me. They can go work for my current competitors. And essentially I'm building my competitors because I'm whatever, we don't get along. They don't have my vision. They don't share these things. So I could see that coming from the entrepreneur point, right? But I also see your point of view where it should be an encouragement, right? Like you might not have the opportunities for them. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I would say in this generation, studying it, looking at it between all the social medias, I have found that there's less people that want to be entrepreneurs, but more people that want the benefits of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
So they want the fame, the fortune. They want the nicer cars. They want all of that, the glamour that comes when all of the hard work has paid off. But they don't want to do the hard work. They just want the instantaneous.
Right.
So how do you educate even the younger generation to understand that it's not the flip of a coin? It's not luck. Like I always tell people, hey, I had somebody tell me the other day, Mike, you're so lucky. Look at all these things that you have. And I'm like, yeah, 15 years of luck. 15 years of sweat, lack of sleep, all this stuff, luck. Right. So looking at something like that, what would you say to that young entrepreneur starting their business right now, getting ready for it, they're getting ready to train somebody? What kind of words of encouragement do you give them to say, listen, it's going to be okay. You're not going to go nowhere. Even if they do split from you, because typically when they do split, it's never good, right? It's not braggable. Not everybody knows.
But you should make it so it is. Like
on how that happens.
Okay, so if you bring them in, you're going to grow. Again, it's okay, because what if you don't train them to your best of your ability? They represent your company. Every person they talk to, every job they do, if you're not training them to be as good as, to be better than you, to be quite honest, they should be better than you if you were that technician at one time or whatever. If they're not better than you, how's your company going to grow?
It's true.
And how's the next guy who works underneath them? What's their attitude going to be if you haven't given the first guy all the tools necessary to complete and be the best and to grow your company? The same garbage is going to keep rolling downhill to the next employee, and then you're going to have a culture of just it's another hour job. So I got to go to work. I can't wait for the weekend. You can't build that. You got to build enthusiasm about what they do. You got to make them great. People want to achieve. They want to be great at what they do. You got to put, are they going to go somewhere out of your mind?
Right.
Whether they do or don't, it can't be affected. You are about training the best people that you can hire, make them the best they can possibly be so they can service your customers at the highest level. Otherwise, you're not going to have a business.
So for me, so here's my motto is I train. So with Blue Line Canine, my dog training company, what I like to do is create my competition. So every time I train an employee, I train them. I'm trying to get this shadow off my face. I train them to essentially motivate me to continue moving my education forward, because I want to fully dump everything I know on them, from business building, marketing, sales, branding, training, everything you can think of. So that way, when I take a rung up the ladder, I know the other rung is secure. But for me, by having them know everything I know, makes me have to go out because I'm very competitive, right? I have to go out and build my education. That's how I do it. That's how I push myself so I don't essentially fall victim to that, right? But not everybody has that, right? So what, when you're teaching them, and I do 100% agree with you. It's your brand, it's your name, it's your everything that person is now representing. They have to hold your standards. They have to have your knowledge. And if you have that anxiety over moving forward, you're essentially sabotaging yourself. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. You're just limiting your growth. Just stay a solopreneur. Just work by yourself. And people do it and they're happy. That's all good.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, everybody. I mean, all kidding aside, if you are a solopreneur, I can't even say the word. How do you say it?
Solopreneur.
Solopreneur, right? If you're out there on your own and you're doing your thing, there's still nothing wrong with it. It's growth and expansion is not for everybody. I study under a guy named Darren Hardy.
Yep.
Dude is absolutely phenomenal and things like that. And he even talks about how he can only spin one plate at a time. I'm sure everybody knows about spinning plates. Where Richard Branson, he brings this analogy up, has like 27 plates going at all times. And he said at one time he really looked up to Richard Branson, wanting to copy Richard Branson and do all those things. And then when he got to know Richard Branson, he discovered how Richard Branson's life, he's under many lawsuits at all times. He has so many different things going on that it stressed him out thinking about what Richard Branson does, right?
Right.
It's not for everybody. So it's okay to be small. It's okay to be medium. It's okay to be big. It's just got to match your goals. And if you're going to expand, put the right steps. So real recap, one is trusting, right? Building your trust.
Correct.
The next thing is building your staff, right? And that's going to be putting in proper training. And you're saying it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be done.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Gotcha. So there you go, guys. I mean, those are the two biggest steps, getting out there and expanding your business to the next thing, or at least freeing up your time. If you're not looking to become an entrepreneur, you're looking to stay as a solopreneur. Right? I think I did it. I think I said it right.
You did it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, Michael.
If you're trying to stay as a solopreneur, there's still nothing wrong with expanding your time, because there's only 24 hours in a day. You want to be a part of different things. You want to see different things. So you want to free up your time so you can look at what you said, virtual assistants, hiring bookkeepers. I know for me, I use virtual bookkeepers. My bookkeeper doesn't even live in the state, which is fantastic because of the fact that it changes the rates, pay rates.
Right.
And that way, because of today, and I didn't mean fantastic that she doesn't live around me, but I mean fantastic that that there's so many different benefits. For one, rates change state to state and country to country, so you can set your budget properly. And then the other thing to think about is it opens your opportunities up in today's with all today's technology. It really opens you up to an opportunity to get some of the best people in the industry to help you, because you're not limited to your local neighborhood anymore. Bookkeeping can now be done virtually, so it means you can open up to literally across the country to
Philippines.
Yeah,
you guys in the Philippines, they're amazing.
Right.
I mean, you're talking, and just one thing on that, Michael, so people understand, this isn't just some goof out there in the ether. You know what I mean? These are highly qualified people. You can check their resumes. You can get reviews on all the people they've worked for. It's not like you're making a crapshoot here. You literally can hand choose the perfect person to be your virtual assistant. And it's a powerful game changer for you. As a solopreneur, it's going to give you time. It's going to give you time. If nothing else, you're going to get more time, a little more freedom. And that's what you want. Maybe it's more time to build your business and just have stronger sales, because you're not, it's going to give you an extra hour a day, 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week, whatever the case. It's a very powerful first step.
Yeah, I know for me, when I had to figure out years ago when I was first starting with Blue Line and moving it to the next level, what I did to figure out what I needed to find the help first was I bought a stopwatch. This is no joke. I literally bought a stopwatch. I'm huge on journals. I have journals everywhere. So every time I did something, I would clock my time. So if I did bookkeeping, so if I was working on QuickBooks or just figuring out my budget, I would hit my stopwatch and I'd write the time down. If somebody called me for a sales call, I would hit the clock and do these things. And what I looked at the end of the week, and I did it weekly, I would add up all the time to figure out what was taking the most of my time to give that up. Now, I don't know your opinion on this, but for me, when it comes to business, I'm huge on my what I like to call the dashboard, which is knowing everything about my business. And I like the analogy of the dashboard because I spend a lot of time in my truck. So I have my speedometer, which could be my sales. I have my RPMs, which is my lead generation, right? So I want to know what's costing me money, my fuel tank, and things like that, right? Do you feel that knowing this kind of stuff will help lead to those two problems, or solving those two problems? Or do you find it to be that just one of Mike Solar's pet peeves in knowing those things?
No, it's a great thing to do. Here's the only difficulty in that is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, was it not difficult to first remember hit the watch? Okay, in the beginning,
around my neck. It was probably
so you're the coach. You're out there as the coach. You know, get a whistle too. You got the whistle.
Yeah, I didn't have a whistle because I felt that would have been overkill. But then again, I mean, I dress up as a Ghostbuster to clear my location. You know, I it is what it is. So for me to walk around with a stopwatch, the hardest thing was telling people what I did or what I was doing with the stopwatch, because they would, like, if I was out in public and somebody came up to me and started talking to me, I would literally, I think if anything, it caused more of a stress for them.
Oh yeah.
Because they're I literally remember doing this to somebody where I hit the stopwatch right when they started talking and they sped up their conversation.
Right. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. They started talking way faster, thinking I was going to, I guess, end them. I'm a minute, you're out, like something like that. But it worked wonders for me because it was the easiest way for me to log things. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that to everybody.
Right.
That's just me. I look at everything like a lot of people that work for me will laugh and joke about how I will spend more money on something that will save me more time down the road than I will save money and give time, right? Like, I believe in hiring professionals. I don't believe in do it yourself. I am not as talented with a saw as a professional carpenter, a fence builder. I'm not a plumber. I'm not these things. Sure, I can buy the 1, 2, 3 book and save money, but how much is it going to cost me that the pitch isn't right? It isn't done right. It's not level. What are my regrets going back? What's it going to cost me later down the road? So I look at it going, know your expertise, stick to your expertise, and let the other experts do their things. Finding the bookkeeper, get the right expert. Building the fence, get the right expert. Plumbing, get the right expert. Doing it yourself, to me, costs more money. But then again, I'm also the guy that walks around with a stopwatch to see what he's doing that day.
Well, here's something. I love the stopwatch. I love tracking the time. Another thing, if someone's they're not that comfortable with the stopwatch thing, or they want to think about it, the other thing to do is just time blocking. Really give yourself whatever your tasks are for the day. If it's 25 minutes, if it's 12 minutes, if it's 35 minutes, it's 58 minutes, whatever the time frame is that something needs to be completed in, understand that time blocking and do not exceed it. And then you'll learn, okay, I can't do this in 58 minutes. Oh, I did it in 25 instead of 45. Okay, that's good. Then make your notes. But understand that once you start putting things in blocks, that you have to operate within certain time periods. And that little bit of pressure helps a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people doing their thing. The other thing I learned too, just like I love to stopwatch when people walk up to you. I think it's okay, keep going. You got 60 seconds. And when people say 60 seconds, one thing I learned to say instead of like hitting the watch is, what specifically can I help you with, Michael? When you use the word specifically, it triggers that, oh, I better get to the point. I do it with people. Just, I don't have what specifically that way they're not giving you a life story and everything else, and they're getting right to the point. Let's help. It's like a 1-sentence email. Just tell me what you need and I'll get it. Yes, I can help
message
you.
Result. Yeah, give me the cliff notes, as I like to say to people. Give me the cliff notes on the story.
And it's not being rude. It's understanding, first, your time is super valuable. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you got to hold that close. You got to take care of that. You got to protect your asset, right? Which is your time. Secondly, you're going to be training other people to follow suit. Okay. If you got people in your company, they should understand the value of time for their own position in the company and how they can maximize it. Because when they maximize their time, what are they doing? Maximizing your
Right.
profitability, your ability to get things done and grow. So it's a great habit to spread throughout. It should be a kind of a one of the words escape me. One of the company like to dos, right? That's kind of one of the characteristics of
Okay.
employees at
Yeah.
a company, that they understand the value of time. That should not be yours only.
Right. 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 Right.
You may have the most valuable time, and you should, because you're the owner, you're number one, but everyone else should hold that very dear, because it'll make their lives better inside and outside of work.
Now it's funny you say that. I personally believe that everyone's time is the same. I don't believe anybody's time is worth more or less in any which way, any capacity. So I have to agree. With all the staff that we have at Blue Line Canine, I look at everybody as 100% equals. Everybody brings a high value into the company, and everyone's time is worth it. Now I can't ask them to walk around with stopwatches, but how I look at it is, as a leader of my company, uh, showing them the examples and showing them how the disciplines come into play of watching your time, watching how you're doing things, and believing in your brand and doing those kinds of things is what gives you the real results, right? So I can't ask anybody to walk around with a stopwatch. Obviously, I can tell you personally, from walking around with a stopwatch, it was very awkward. I even had to explain to people I wasn't timing their conversations for them. I wasn't trying to speed them up. It made it weird for other people more than me. So I wouldn't do that to any of my customers anymore or anymore. But now I also know my timeline. The flip, though, I have to ask is, when you time block. Now, this is something I'm learning to do myself, is time block. Where you say from 9 to 10, I'm going to do this. From 10 to 11, I'm doing this. How easy have you found it to be for some of your clients? I know for me, I'm finding it to be semi-difficult, like in my mind, the anxiety of it, because I feel pressured to get as much as possible in there. Like I don't know when to stop. So it messes me up knowing that the timeline's there, and I actually wind up spending more time looking at my clock. So have you found success with your clients doing time blocking? And if so, what were some of the tricks to get them over the anxieties that, like, I'm dealing with? So I'm sure other people are dealing with, where you're focused more on the time expiring than you are getting the job done.
Well, I think there's a balance, obviously, but also you need to understand that anything that's new, especially something like time blocking or you with the stopwatch, same principle, it's gonna be uncomfortable. There's gonna be a level of anxiety there till you master it. Right.
Okay.
So you have to, that's with anything that you've never done. When you do it, guess what? You're going to suck at it. Okay. That's your starting point, being awful. Okay. You're going to be awful at it, and it's going to be awkward, but as you build it and you gain some comfort with that, believe me, anyone you deal with, even if it's customers, because people are like, oh, I don't want to cut my customers' time short. Believe me, they'll appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
They appreciate someone who's direct, gets to the point, and solves their problem. That's what you're there for. And if you've mastered a way to do that quicker, sooner, and better, who's going to be unhappy? Right. So you're going to be training others around you as well, just like you did. Your people who you encounter more than once or twice with the stopwatch eventually understand that you're a time guy. And it's important. It's not anxiety on their level of yours. It's like, I get things done. I'm a doer.
Yeah.
I can't be a doer. I don't want to sit around and chat over coffee for 45 minutes. Okay. I don't want to do that. I want to get things done. What do we need to do?
Unless it's time blocked, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you have a client meeting and you want to make it 45 minutes, well, make it 45 minutes. Here's the points we're going to hit. Let's go over it. Okay, gentlemen, I got another meeting to get into. And your next meeting could be the gym. Okay.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a meeting that you have to keep. I'll give you an example. Today, I got an email from someone who wants to be on my podcast, right? She wants to have the chat before, to talk to me about all her stuff. And remember, she's my guest. Okay?
Yeah.
So I got to talk to her. So I set a time. Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes, or 20 minutes. And then today, this is too much. She cancels because a client of hers booked time before and it may run over. I'm like, okay, let me tell you, you can't control your time.
Right.
I already had an appointment with you. You want to be a guest on my show, and now you're telling me you just kicked me to the curb because you can't control your time. All right. Michael, I hovered over that email like I was going to tell her to take a hike. Okay?
Actually, I did that a couple of weeks ago. We actually had a guest scheduled for this show, and they FTA'd on me, right? So they failed to appear on the show. And the week later, the next, like a couple hours later, they hit me up saying they totally forgot. Is there any way? No, you're done. I'm not going to allow it. Hit me back in 3 months. It's just over with. But listen, I do have to wrap us up. Always a pleasure. Please come back and join us again. I can literally talk to you for days about this, and I'm sure people will love the information coming out as we're starting to expand into building other people's businesses here at Blue Line Canine, building up doggy daycares and boarding and grooming. So we're going to have a lot more entrepreneurs in the pet industry following us, learning, listening, and growing their company. So I really hope to get you back. So if you don't mind, go ahead and give your shout out to everybody to let them know how to get your products or find out more information on you, and we'll get you on the show again later.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. This is anytime you want me on, buddy. I love talking to you. We have just great energy. I love it. Just escapetheownerprison.com. Just go to escapetheownerprison.com. Real fun, real easy. You find me on social media, Facebook, Richard Walsh. Very simple. So again, thanks for having me on, buddy. I really appreciate the time and your adherence to your time block. It's good.
That's it, man. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. You have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.